Have you ever wondered what actually powers the incredible AI tools and, the digital services we use every single day? From your smart home assistant to those algorithms suggesting your next favorite show. It's not just magic.
Definitely not magic.
It's massive infrastructure, right?
Right.
And a lot of it is housed in what we call data centers.
Exactly. Huge physical footprints.
And that's precisely what we're diving into today. This deep dive is all about a recent executive order from the White House focused on accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure.
Yeah, a pretty significant development.
Our source for this deep dive is the executive order itself, signed by President Donald J. Trump on July 23, 2025. Its stated aim is, well, to speed up the building of this essential tech infrastructure.
Our mission today, then, is to unpack this complex document. We'll break down what accelerating federal permitting really means.
Okay.
And understand its potential impact, on our digital lives, our economy, maybe even the environment.
Right. We'll try to simplify the legal and technical terms so you can walk away well-informed about something that quietly shapes so much of your daily experience.
Yeah. Strip away the jargon a bit.
So let's unpack this. This order opens by talking about a golden age for American manufacturing and technological dominance. What's the core policy and purpose outlined right at the beginning?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the administration's stated goal, right out of the gate in Section 1, is really to solidify America's leadership in critical manufacturing and technologies.
Okay.
And the order specifically calls out artificial intelligence data centers and the immense power infrastructure they require, things like high-voltage transmission lines.
So it's laser-focused on AI infrastructure.
Very much so. The core priority seems to be making it significantly easier and faster to build this infrastructure by reducing federal regulatory hurdles.
So cutting through red tape for these specific projects, does the order say how they plan to do this? Beyond just reducing hurdles, any specifics there?
Yes. It also explicitly states that the administration plans to utilize federally owned land and resources for these projects.
Federally owned land. Interesting.
Yeah. The order says this will be done, and I'm quoting loosely here, in service of the prosperity and security of the American people, kind of cementing that global leadership position through tech advancement.
It's clear this infrastructure is foundational. How deeply are these data centers, tied into our everyday digital lives, our phones, streaming, all that?
Oh, they are the absolute backbone. Think about how much data your phone processes, how smoothly your streaming loads,
Yeah.
or how online tools just seem to know what you need. Without these data centers, a lot of those seamless digital experiences, they just wouldn't be possible.
Right. They're the hidden engine.
Exactly. The hidden engine of our modern digital life.
Okay. This document uses some very specific terms, obviously. They define the scope. So for those of us maybe not deep in policy, what exactly is a data center project in the eyes of this order? And what are covered components? What do these terms actually mean?
That's a great question, because these definitions in Section 2 are really fundamental to understanding the order's reach.
Right.
So first, a data center project. It's defined as a facility that needs a massive amount of power. Specifically, more than 100 megawatts, that's MW of new electrical load.
New load.
Yes, new load, and dedicated specifically to AI activities. Things like inference, training, simulation, or generating synthetic data.
100 megawatts. That sounds like, it sounds staggering. Can you put that in perspective? What's that roughly like?
Yeah, it is huge.
Yeah.
To give you a sense of scale, 100 megawatts is roughly enough electricity to power a small town.
A whole town. Wow.
So yeah, imagine a single facility needing that much new power just for its AI stuff. It really hammers home the sheer energy scale AI needs.
Wow. So what about covered components then? What falls under that umbrella?
Covered components are essentially the necessary ingredients, right? The materials, products, infrastructure needed to build these data center projects or what they depend on.
Okay, like the building blocks.
Exactly. The order gives clear examples.
Mhm.
This includes energy infrastructure, think transmission lines, natural gas pipelines, substations, that sort of thing.
Right.
It also covers the actual energy sources themselves,
Such as?
natural gas turbines, coal power equipment, nuclear, geothermal, and any other dispatchable baseload energy sources, plus the big backup power systems, mainly for these data centers.
So it's not just the building itself, but like everything feeding it power and connecting it.
Precisely. And beyond energy, covered components
Yep.
also include semiconductors and semiconductor materials. The brains of all electronics.
Your chips.
Wafers, dies, integrated circuits. Yeah. Then there's networking equipment, switches, routers, basically the internet's traffic cops.
Got it.
And finally, data storage components. That covers everything from hardware storage systems, software for managing data, to services that link up with public cloud providers.
And when these covered components are put together in a bigger project, that's called a covered component project. Is that right?
That's it, exactly. A covered component project is either infrastructure made of these components or maybe a factory specifically designed to make them.
Okay.
Now, all of this leads us to a really crucial definition: a qualifying project.
Ah, okay. This sounds important.
It is. This is the type of project the order is specifically designed to accelerate. It needs to meet one of 4 criteria.
Okay, what are they?
First, the project sponsor has to commit at least $500 million in capital. Big money.
$500 million, yeah.
Second, it has to involve adding an incremental electric load of more than 100 megawatts, that number again.
Right, the small town's worth of power.
Third, it has to be a project that protects national security. Or fourth, it can simply be designated as qualifying by key secretaries of defense, interior, commerce, or energy.
So it's either big money, huge power use, national security, or, well, someone important says so.
Pretty much. That really focuses the scope on large strategic projects.
Makes sense.
And just briefly, the order also defines Superfund site and Brownfield site. We'll circle back to why those matter later, but think of them as specific types of previously used, sometimes contaminated land.
Okay, so understanding these definitions really clarifies the type of massive tech infrastructure and the supporting industries this order is aimed at. Ultimately, these are the facilities that will impact our access to advanced tech and directly affect our energy grid.
Couldn't have said it better.
Now, the administration clearly wants to speed things up significantly. How exactly are they planning to encourage these qualifying projects and streamline their development? What are the mechanics here?
Right, this is where we get into the practical stuff. Section 3, encouraging qualifying projects, tells the Secretary of Commerce to launch an initiative for financial support.
Okay, money talks.
It does. And it's not vague. It lists specific types: loans, loan guarantees, grants, tax incentives, even things called offtake agreements.
Offtake agreement.
Yeah, essentially commitments by a buyer and maybe the government, maybe private industry, to purchase the project's output. Provides a guaranteed market, which is huge for financing.
Ah, okay, reduces risk.
Exactly. And all relevant agencies are also told to find any existing financial support that could be repurposed for these projects, while keeping national security in mind.
So they're not just clearing pathways, they're putting serious financial muscle behind it too.
That's the plan, it seems. And what's also notable is Section 4, which explicitly revokes an earlier executive order, 14E141 from January 2025.
Oh, what does that suggest?
Well, it suggests a shift, right? A potentially new, maybe more aggressive or more focused approach to AI infrastructure compared to whatever was planned just 6 months prior.
Interesting. And then it gets into environmental reviews, often a big bottleneck for huge projects. How is the order tackling that, especially with NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, potentially controversial too. Section 5 focuses on efficient environmental reviews. It tells agencies to quickly identify or even create categorical exclusions under NEPA.
Categorical exclusions, like a fast lane.
Kind of, yeah. Think of it like a simplified permit process for, say, a small shed versus a skyscraper. Different levels of review based on presumed impact. These exclusions are for actions or projects that normally don't have a significant environmental impact.
So they're trying to find ways to pre-approve certain types of activities associated with these projects.
Essentially, yes. Creating fast lanes for qualifying projects that fit these predefined low-impact criteria.
Okay, so if a project fits a certain mold, it might bypass some of the longer environmental review hoops. What about federal funding, though? Does that affect the level of review?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
The order states that federal financial assistance loans, grants, etc., that makes up less than 50% of the total project costs is presumed not to be a major federal action under NEPA.
So what does that mean practically?
It means potentially less rigorous environmental review for projects getting less than half their funding from the feds. The implication here is that the burden for review might shift more heavily onto state and local agencies, which could face, resource challenges or different priorities.
That's a significant detail. So less federal oversight if there's less federal money involved, potentially. What about transparency and other acceleration tools like FAST-41?
Right. That brings us to Section 6 and FAST-41. There's a group called the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Council, or FPISC.
Catchy name.
Yeah. They could designate these qualifying projects as transparency projects on a public website called the Permitting Dashboard.
Like a project tracker.
Exactly. Think of it like a public tracker for major construction, making the process visible, holding agencies accountable for speed. The goal then is to transition these projects to become covered projects under the FAST-41 Act.
And FAST-41 is?
It's a law specifically designed to speed up permitting for large, complex infrastructure projects. It sets up a framework with coordination, deadlines, the whole 9 yards.
So make it public, put it on a clock, and then move it into an existing fast-track legal system.
That's the idea. Visibility, accountability, and then integration into the FAST-41 process.
So this whole section really gets at the speed aspect and how it interacts with, well, environmental scrutiny. For you listening, this could mean faster new tech and AI services.
Yeah, potentially.
But it also definitely raises questions about how those environmental safeguards are being balanced against the push for acceleration.
It's the core tension, really.
Okay, beyond the big picture of the money, the faster reviews the order gets into some really specific details about where and how this infrastructure gets built. What's the plan for agencies like the EPA? And what about using federal lands?
Right, this is where the rubber meets the road, implementation-wise. Section 7 outlines the EPA's role in streamlining. The EPA administrator is directed to help expedite permitting under major environmental laws, Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, even the Superfund law.
So the EPA is being told to help speed things up for these projects?
Essentially, yes. Reviewing and possibly modifying existing regulations to facilitate the development of qualifying projects.
What kind of sites are they specifically looking at using?
Well, a key point in Section 7 is that the EPA administrator is also directed to expeditiously identify brownfield sites and Superfund sites for use by qualifying projects.
Brownfield and Superfund, remind us what those are.
Sure. Brownfield sites are basically abandoned or underused properties where redevelopment is tricky because of potential hazardous substances or pollutants. Think old factories, gas stations.
Okay. And Superfund.
Superfund sites are the really heavily polluted ones, requiring long-term cleanup under federal oversight. The order is explicitly aiming to reuse these challenging sites for data centers. And the EPA is supposed to develop guidance to help speed up the environmental reviews needed for reusing these sites, helping states and private companies put them back into productive use.
That's an interesting strategy, reusing already impacted land instead of undeveloped areas. But what are the challenges? Cleanup standards? Safety?
It's definitely, like you said earlier, a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could revitalize blighted areas, avoid greenfield development. But yeah, absolutely raises questions about how thorough the cleanup needs to be, long-term safety for the environment, for workers, nearby communities. It's complex.
Definitely something to watch. What about other environmental aspects, like wildlife or water?
Good question. Section 8 deals with biological and water permitting efficiencies. It talks about using programmatic consultation under the Endangered Species Act, ESA.
Programmatic consultation.
Yeah, basically, for common construction activities related to these qualifying projects over the next decade, they could do one broad consultation covering multiple similar projects instead of reviewing each one individually. It's meant to speed things up significantly.
So do the paperwork once for a category of actions, not over and over again, efficiency gain.
Precisely. Efficiency through scale. And related to water, the Army Corps of Engineers will review nationwide permits under the Clean Water Act, things affecting wetlands. For instance, to see if new, specific permits are needed to make things smoother for these qualifying projects.
Okay. And finally, the use of federal lands, including military bases.
Yep, Section 9, Federal Lands Availability. The Departments of Interior and Energy will offer authorizations for sites they identify as suitable. And, significantly, the Secretary of Defense can identify suitable spots on military installations for covered component infrastructure.
So building data center parts, or maybe even centers on military bases.
Potentially, yes. And then competitively lease these lands for qualifying projects, considering DoD's own energy, workforce, and mission needs, plus security, of course.
Wow. Okay, this section really highlights potential shifts in balancing environmental protection with development speed. Reusing brownfields and Superfund sites, that's a big one.
Huge implications there.
And using federal lands, even military bases. Lots of new considerations for land management and how these facilities integrate.
Absolutely. Big changes potentially on the horizon.
So we've covered a lot today. The why, the how, the specifics, but let's boil it down. For you listening at home, maybe juggling work, family, trying to stay informed, what does all this mean? What are the big takeaways?
Okay, let's synthesize. This order paints a very clear picture. First, the impact on technology. You should probably expect to see an even faster rollout of advanced AI capabilities and services.
Like better apps, smarter search.
Could be. This push for rapid data center construction is designed to enhance your daily digital experiences. Faster, more responsive cloud services, maybe more powerful AI tools becoming available sooner.
So the promise of faster AI might actually materialize quicker because of this.
That's a direct intended outcome, yeah. Second, there's a significant economic impact. The push for American manufacturing and technological dominance likely means a surge in new jobs, construction, tech, energy-related industries.
Good news for job seekers in those fields.
Potentially, yes. But a less obvious consequence could be the strain on local infrastructure beyond just power. Think water supply, housing, roads in the areas where these massive centers get built. Communities might need to figure out how to cope if this acceleration really takes off.
That's a really important point, the ripple effects on the local community. Okay, what about the elephant in the room? Energy. These things sound incredibly power hungry.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Immense amounts of power. And the order explicitly mentions various energy sources, natural gas, coal, nuclear, geothermal. This will impact our national energy grid.
No question.
It'll contribute significantly to overall energy demand. It's a very direct link between our digital habits and our collective energy consumption.
And finally, the environmental considerations. We talked about the fast reviews, the categorical exclusions, reusing brownfield sites. How should we think about that balance?
Well, the order clearly aims for efficiency and speed, and it does that by explicitly modifying some existing environmental review processes. It represents a deliberate choice, right? A balance between accelerating tech development and, well, environmental stewardship.
A trade-off.
You could see it that way. The reuse of brownfield and Superfund sites, like we said, is complex. Good, because it reuses land, potentially challenging regarding cleanup standards and long-term safety. It's that ongoing tension, rapid progress versus responsible development.
This order really is a fascinating snapshot, isn't it? It shows how critical AI is becoming and the sheer physical stuff needed to support it. It highlights that constant negotiation between innovation and its real-world costs.
It truly does. It lays down a marker for how our digital future might be built, physically.
So to recap quickly, this executive order aims to rapidly build AI data centers and their supporting infrastructure. It plans to do this by streamlining federal permits, offering financial incentives, and using various lands, including challenging ones like brownfield and Superfund sites.
A bold plan.
It is. A bold plan for digital dominance, with clear ripple effects across technology, the economy, and our environment.
Yeah.
You know, this deep dive really hammered home for me how the abstract world of AI is totally rooted in physical stuff. Buildings, cables, massive amounts of energy, and yeah, complex government policy. Very tangible. As AI keeps evolving, this order raises a huge question, maybe the question. How will we as a society balance this undeniable demand for cutting-edge technology with the responsible use of our resources and protecting our environment?
That's the conversation we need to keep having, and it really impacts everyone.
Absolutely. Definitely something to think about. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.